Hey guys, how's it going? Ricky Widmer here along with Brandon Swanson. Here like we are every Thursday. Not last week because I was a little bit under the weather, but I'm back feeling better than ever. We're here Thursday here to give you our pick'ems in college football week 10. A little bit better of a week, Brandon. We've got some ranked matchups going on in this one. Number one, though, features some Big 12 opponents. Baylor at Kansas State. Are you feeling the upset without Seth Russell?
You know, this is intriguing. This one's definitely intriguing. If Seth Russell is there, I don't know if it's as close, but I think I really do think we'll see ourselves a close game, at least for part of it. But I think in the end, Baylor will pull away at some point in the second half. I think the Bears will take this one, but we're going to see. I think this team will be tested a little bit, the rest of this team, to see if they are completely sound without Seth Russell. And I'm talking the rest of the offense. And I'm really excited for this game because that's what it's going to show me.
Mm-hmm. I really want to pick the upset in this one. I really do. Can I, though? It's kind of like the Miami-Duke game from last week. I wanted to pick the upset with you. I wanted to pick the U. But I didn't. Bit me in the butt. I don't think this one will bite me in the butt. I'm going to go Baylor. However, I'm going to say Baylor only wins by a touchdown. So that's kind of the flip of the coin. Kansas ain't going to win. Or Kansas State's not going to win, but it'll be a much closer game. How about that team that did lose to Miami last week, the Dukies, now playing their arch rival, number 21, North Carolina?
Well, I got to tell you, I think North Carolina is actually going to come out on top in this ball game. Duke still really feeling down and still feeling those ill effects after that Miami game where ACC officials were suspended because of that play that ended the game. They said that Miami should not have won. But in the end, Miami did win. The win's not coming off the board. North Carolina is going to go and beat Duke.
Yeah, and I mean, my one snippet about that Duke-Miami game is I was listening to Mike and Mike today. Apparently they had a conversation about how, should the NCAA be able to go and change the result back to Duke? And the way I see it is no, because then, hey, let's go back 5 years ago. Hey, we should have won that game. Let's change it. Oh, should have been a playoff team. Then you got to do it for everybody from like 10 years ago and that. Duke, do they come back to form in this one? No. North Carolina looked too good against Pitt. They're a team that's only lost one game, a close game to South Carolina. They win that game, we're possibly talking about them being a playoff team this year. I think North Carolina keeps on the roll, and they beat the Dukies. Sorry, Duke. Let's stay in the ACC, though. Number 17, Florida State. Number 3, Clemson. This is not going to be any matchup like we've seen with Jameis Winston, Brandon. Clemson gets the win easily in this one.
You know what? I actually tend to agree with you here. Clemson's been really dominant. I think they continue to show their dominance over a Florida State team that has showed that they have holes this year. And I think that's not just because of Jameis Winston. I think it's because of some other guys that they lost. But I think that in the end here, Clemson is too good this season. And Deshaun Watson, he will lead them to a victory.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, usually in this one, I've been rooting for the underdog, which is Clemson. Don't have a real stake because Jameis Winston's not playing. I don't have to root against Florida State, but I just don't see the Seminoles being that upset team. The one team, though, I do see being upset city this week, I'm going to go ahead and pick number 12, Oklahoma State, over number 5, TCU this week. TCU, to me, this entire year has felt like a team where should have lost to Iowa State, should have lost a few games here or there, have just squeaked by, Minnesota being one of those games. Oklahoma State, you just squeaked by last week against Texas Tech. You're one of those teams, I believe it was on Facebook, I saw one of the famous Viners did a What Big 12 Fans Say, and when he had the Oklahoma State shirt on, it was just like, why can't we get any respect? I mean, we're undefeated. You want respect? You beat TCU, and that's what I think happens by a field goal. Cowboys over the Horned Frogs.
So you have an Oklahoma State team who really struggled against Texas Tech last week, able to pull out the victory. I believe 70-56. That was the final score. And then you had...
And they trailed at one point.
And then, absolutely. They did trail throughout the game. It was an absolute struggle for that Oklahoma State team. TCU, they just barely pulled out a win. Who was that against, Ricky?
You talking about Texas Tech?
That's absolutely who I'm talking about here, Ricky. Both of these teams really struggled with Texas Tech within the Big 12. That's why, for me, there is going to be no defense in this game. It is going to be an absolute shootout. I'm looking for something similar to you, 56-53, the final score. But in this one, TCU gets the win.
And for our last one, I feel like the last two, the one we just had in this game right now, are going to be the two games that me and you do not agree on. The big game this week. You mentioned it in our playoff rankings earlier in the week. The game you're looking forward to. Number 4 LSU. Number 7 Alabama. I'm going with LSU to beat Alabama. Then say, hey, you know what? We'll see you guys in the SEC title game. See you in a couple weeks.
See, we've got a really intriguing matchup here. LSU with Leonard Fournette, who has been good all season long. And people would go, does LSU have anyone else on their offense?
They don't need it.
They've only talked about Fournette all season. On the other side for Alabama, they have Derrick Henry, who has been good all season. He's a bruising runner. He's very good. Then you've got Coker, who's kind of had an up and down season for the Crimson Tide. I remember a game very eerily similar to this one. Alabama was coming in. Georgia was coming in ranked. And I said, you know what? Georgia and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb will run all over Alabama. Came back and bit me in the butt. I'm not going to let that happen again.
But Leonard Fournette's not Nick Chubb.
I am going with Alabama and the Crimson Tide. Alabama's defense is going to be the story in this one. They cause a couple of turnovers, including a Leonard Fournette fumble.
I think this is the game that cements. If you haven't thought Leonard Fournette's the Heisman this year, this game cements it just because of what Brandon said. The defense for Alabama is going to be tough, but Leonard Fournette is going to have a big game. I'm going to say he's going to have 3 tutties, maybe more in this game. No fumbles. Don't know what he's talking about. LSU gets the win, cements for right now their playoff chances. But this is where you guys come in. Tell us down below what you think. Who you picking in these matchups? Who's right, who's wrong? Me or Brandon? Let us know in the comment section down below. You can follow us on Twitter. Brandon's at young_swan19. However, this young mug isn't 19 years old. Don't get that confused. I'm at Ricky Widmer. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. You hit that like button, that sub button. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Let's hope for a good week of football in week number 10. And have a good day, everybody.
And remember, Ricky, that Alabama game in Tuscaloosa.
Breaking my Tuscaloosa heart.